Welcome back to The Haunted Beard, everybody. My name is Jake. Thank you for joining me. Stream is a slasher film that is now available to watch on demand. And this is brought to us by the producers of the Terrifier movies. And in addition to that, it also stars David Howard Thornton, and Damien Leone himself did the makeup effects on the movie. And so I went into this film with some anticipation. I had some expectations. In addition to that, the plot and story setup sounded pretty intriguing, as this one tells the story of the Keenan family, who decide to take a weekend getaway. But their vacation takes a sinister turn as four deranged killers lock down their hotel and compete for the most creative murders of all the guests. And I'm going to come right out and say it, this was an unfortunate disappointment for me. And I was pretty bummed out with this overall. Outside of the kills and the gore, courtesy of Damien Leone, that aspect of this film is pretty great and enjoyable. But outside of that, there's not really anything else in this movie that I enjoyed or had a good time with. Every other aspect here was pretty subpar for me. And this is a film that falls into some of the same issues that many other subpar slasher movies fall into. It's just kind of, I could go down the line and take your pick. Acting, characters, dialogue, the way the story is executed, some of the editing, all of those aspects really failed to deliver for me, which really sucks because I was expecting to have a pretty good time with this. I had some hopes, but man, this thing just let me down. Now, to expand on that a little bit more, the first 30 minutes of this movie, with the exception of one scene, it feels like a Lifetime Hallmark movie. And I can't even believe I'm saying that, but it does. As this starts off, we're introduced to this family. They're having some issues with their kids, and so the dad decides to take this little weekend getaway. And here we are introduced to the kids, who are extremely annoying and just these obnoxious, entitled kids. The son isn't so bad, but the daughter is absolutely atrocious. One of the most irritating characters I've seen in a movie this year. And they go to the hotel, and she basically leaves her family behind, meets up with some boys at a bar, starts flirting with them, and sneaks off to their room at night. And it just comes across like, again, this sort of Lifetime type movie where there's this intense sort of family drama with this corny, cheesy relationship going on with the young daughter, flirting with some boys, terrible dialogue, not good acting. So much time is spent on this family's relationship dynamic and the drama that these parents are having with their children. Again, it felt like I was watching this Lifetime romantic comedy drama. It was just really strange. And this film has a 2-hour runtime, which is simply way too long. There is no reason for this movie to be a minute past 90 minutes. And so because it's so long, they stretch out a very thin story way beyond what is necessary. And so because of that extended runtime, there are large chunks of this film that feel totally unnecessary. And it feels slow and borderline boring at points. And it's a little over an hour into the movie before we actually figure out what's going on. And to me, I already knew what was going on. We know that these killers are going around the hotel. They've locked everybody in. They're going around killing people in creative ways because they are streaming this on the dark web for people to watch. And it takes over an hour before the characters in the movie actually figure that out. And so it seems like there's so much wasted time and so much fluff that is added to this thing that doesn't need to be there. In addition to many of the issues that I just listed, there's other typical things with bad slasher movies, like characters making dumb decisions, things that don't really make sense, Some of the editing too is really clunky and awkward. Either you see too much in a shot or you don't see enough. Sometimes shots are held too long, which again, it just feels clunky and awkward, and things needed to be smoother and tightened up a little bit. There's just little scenes that happen where there's a killer coming after a guy and he has a gun drawn on him and he just decides not to shoot him. He just kind of sits there and hesitates. And the guy was a former police officer, and it's like, what are you doing? There's other little things here that bothered me. There's a scene where a woman runs out of her hotel room down the hotel hallway screaming bloody murder because somebody's trying to kill her. And then the killer comes out and grabs her and pulls her back into the room. And half a second later, somebody turns the corner down that same hallway like 10 feet from where this is all happening without a clue in the world. Like he didn't just hear this woman screaming for her life. There's another scene where the entire hotel, the Wi-Fi is down. But somebody hacks the Wi-Fi and all they do is pull up the networks on their little iPad thing and click the button to connect. And all of a sudden they're on Wi-Fi. And it's like, what just happened here? The movie just has a handful of stupid things that it handles really poorly. I also really didn't like the ending as well. I won't get into any specifics, but it was just another thing that happened that I kind of rolled my eyes and was like, this is dumb. This character is an idiot. Like, you've got to be kidding me that this actually happened. Yeah, there's just a handful of things here that really bothered me. Stream also does something else that when movies do this, 98% of the time, it irritates me, where they kind of have this like, oh, maybe there might be a sequel sort of thing. There's also a mid-credits sequence in this movie that makes no sense whatsoever other than to just have a couple cameos for it to exist, I guess. I didn't really understand it at all or why it even needed to be in there. I'm probably beating a dead horse at this point, but man, I'm a little frustrated. I really thought I was going to like this one. I really had some hopes for it, but it let me down. If you're the type of person who you can get by and enjoy a movie on simply, good kills with some blood and guts type thing, you'll probably enjoy this, and I'll fully acknowledge it has some pretty gnarly kills, and full credit goes to Damien Leone. The guy's not only a good writer and director, but obviously he knows how to craft a memorable, crazy kill and is extremely good at the practical effects, which this film has. But beyond that, you gotta give me something of a story that is interesting. You gotta give me some characters that I can connect with and that I care about. But outside of the blood and guts and some cool kills, this movie, it didn't really have anything to offer for me anyways. So yeah, I'm bummed. Overall, I'm gonna give this like a 4, and I feel like I'm being a little bit generous, but I'll give it a 4. So those are my thoughts. Yeah, hit me up down below. Let me know your thoughts. I just feel like this one, it falls into so many of the typical issues that people have with slasher movies that we've seen many times before. And yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it goes. So let me know, though, down below. Be curious to know your guys' thoughts on this one. That's all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching. Greatly appreciate it. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.